Okay, this is the one thing that I've ever had happen in my life, which I really have no rational explanation. You say that it is 100% true. I'm not making this one up. Um, I said I've tried to figure this out for over 20 years now, and I still don't have a rational explanation for it. So make of that what you will. I'll just put speculation at the end. But let me also preface it by saying I'm not really a superstitious type at all. I scoff at a lot of these stories I hear, but this is the only one that made me kind of wonder. So here it goes. This happened in 1996 when my little girl was, she was still a baby. My then wife was still alive, and we were visiting my parents, who lived 2 hours away from where we were living at the time. And I think it was some sort of holiday. It was in the summertime, as I recall. And my older brother was also visiting. He was also living away from there at the time, but he was there staying as well. So my mom and dad and my older brother, and then my wife and myself, and then my baby were there. And we'd spent the day enjoying each other's company. So come evening, we were all turned in to go to sleep, and my family, we stayed in my brother's old room with my folks who were in the room, right next to it. And then just leading up to our room, there was a bathroom just down the hallway, a very short distance from both rooms, and there was a real dim night light there. So we turned in, and I was asleep, and had been for a while. And right around, I don't know exact time, I didn't look at my watch, but maybe around 2, 3 in the morning, unsure. I heard my little baby. She was making kind of cooing noises, happy noises, the way a baby will when someone's entertaining her. So I kind of, turned and looked while still lying down. I could see someone standing, over the playpen we'd brought with us where our baby was sleeping. We'd use that as a improvised crib since we were traveling and visiting just for a couple of 2 days. But I saw someone standing over and just kind of, lean forward, probably entertaining her. I thought, oh, that's sweet, Mom and Dad are in there one of the other is in there to entertain my little baby. So I sat up in bed, and I was getting ready to just say hi. And whoever it was who was standing there straightened and seemed to turn slightly toward me as if noticing me. And then before I could even say anything, without a word, just walked out of the room silently. I thought, well, that's strange. I didn't get a chance to say hi to Mom. I wasn't sure which one it was. It was very dim. I could just barely see silhouettes and all that. So I thought, well, that's interesting. Okay. And whoever it was didn't come back, so I went and lay back down and went back to sleep. My little girl went back to sleep too. So we got to morning, and we were having breakfast, and we'd been eating for a while and drinking coffee and enjoying each other's company, catching up. And at one point I turned to Dad and I said, hey, I thought that was really sweet how you came into the room last night to see your granddaughter, but I didn't get a chance to say hi to you. You just up and left before I could say anything. He says, what do you mean I was in the room? I go, well, there was someone in the room last night who was clearly entertaining our little girl. And I noticed a person who was standing there, and I sat up and left before I could say anything. So I assume it's you, right? He goes, I wasn't in there. I said, you're kidding me. At this point, I kind of thought, well, he's pulling my leg. He said, that you were in the room, correct? He says, I never got up the whole night. I said, you're serious? You're not joking? He says, I'm not joking. I don't joke about that. So at that point, I said, well, Mom, that was you, right? And Mom says, no, I didn't get up the whole night either. I lay down. I didn't even have to get up to go to the bathroom even. I'm getting a little bit freaked out by this, so I finally asked my older brother, well, you came in there, because my older brother had been staying at the other end of the house. Actually, he'd been sleeping on the back porch. He liked to sleep outside. He slept on a chase lounge. He liked to sleep outdoors often. Excuse me. So he said, no, he never came in either. So it wasn't my wife. She was sleeping right next to me at the time. And it wasn't my older brother, and it was neither of my parents, but someone was definitely in that room. And I wasn't dreaming. I didn't imagine it. I was fully awake and sitting up in bed when it happened. I only went to lie down again afterward. I've never had anything like that happen before. So here's the thing. I don't really have a rational explanation for this because there was no one else in there. No, we didn't have a break-in either. The front door was still locked when we got there, and it's that kind of front door that you can only lock. You can't lock without using a key, and you have to use a key. And when you do use a key, you have to use it from the inside of the door. So no one could have left and locked the door. So no one got into the house, which would have been really a terrifying thing. So with that said, there are no really rational explanations for this, which really bothers me, because I will explain part of the reason I'm not into this belief in this type of supernatural thing, where I think that a lot of people may think this is going, is that my religious beliefs are that when you die, your spirit goes wherever it's going to go. That's it. Its final destination, whether that's the good place or the bad place, that's where it goes. I don't see the whole point of a person's spirit lingering on the earth. But here's the thing. If I were a superstitious person, and I still have a hard time with this, I'm struggling with trying to get an actual explanation for it. My grandma had died only within the year. In fact, I think she died either early that year or late the last year. I forget exactly which off the top of my head. She had succumbed to cancer, and we were very, very close to both my grandparents. And she was my dad's mom, by the way. She was the last of my grandparents on either side of my family, actually, when she died. And we were close in many more ways than one, not just personally, but physically. I mean, my folks' house was a mile away from theirs. We lived out in the countryside, so my brothers and I would often go to our grandparents there, after school or during the summer or whenever. We would just walk over there. We'd either walk across the field, because remember, this is in the country, or we'd ride bikes around the block. Because I said they were just a mile away from us, really. So I kind of wondered, is it possible, since we're in the irrational territory and I don't have a rational explanation for this, is it possible that my grandma had come back for one last time to visit my little girl? That sounds crazy. I think it sounds crazy anyway. But I also want to point out, whatever I saw there, whoever was standing there, didn't look unusual at all. It looked exactly like a person just standing in a very, just a silhouette of a person, and barely, could see, but definitely like any other person standing there. Nothing gauzy, nothing glowing, no walking through walls, went through the door, none of that, nothing unusual. So, nothing stereotypical ghost, if you will. I hate using that word, but there it is. But this did happen. Again, not made up. I'm not telling a tall tale. I'm not repeating someone else's story. This happened. I didn't imagine it. I wasn't dreaming. And I don't really have a rational explanation for it. So I don't know if anyone else could have any ideas. I can't imagine what those would be, but this is it. This is the single thing that's ever happened for which I have no explanation. And there you go.